Beyond Dreaming by Hart, a guide to awakening consciousness through the path of astral projection and out-of-body experiences. Part 7, An Overflow of Presence in the Physical. August 15, 2011. I walked through the lush green paths which were behind my house. As I did often back then, I walked mindfully, and like a Buddhist monk, I did my best to not engage in thoughts or emotions that would distract me from focusing on every single step I took, and also from connecting with the nature around me. I was enjoying my walk. My mind was that of a Zen student, impartial but highly aware, non-labeling but acutely discerning. As I walked down one path, a mother with a baby in her pram was walking in my direction, and as they were past me, I spontaneously seemed to have reached an inner threshold. I was flooded with one of the most sublime feelings I have ever had while in the physical. To my shock, some kind of energy, call it the aura of a mother and her baby, had crescendoed a sort of surrendering of my egoic wall of perception, giving way for only the sacred intelligence of my heart and awareness to operate unhindered and untainted. My emotions, which I thought I had under perfect control beforehand, suddenly burst like an erupting geyser. Within seconds, I flooded with tears as my whole experience opened up to me, as if all the walls of my perception had suddenly collapsed. The reality I was now perceiving was singing a beautiful chorus into all my senses. Everything I looked at was new, vibrant, and full of life. The sounds of birds and everything around me was so pure and innocent. I felt like I had been given new ears of superhearing abilities. I looked around me, raptured in awe as if I had awakened from a dream. I can suddenly see the sun's rays in the air and how its loving luminosity penetrated everything it touched, including how my body absorbed its life-giving essence. The lavish nature around me suddenly became animated with life as I noticed every leaf sway in the wind. If I paid closer attention to a tree or flower, I could have sworn I became aware of its recognition of me. I realized for a moment how strange I must have looked to people. I was on a usually busy path in the middle of the day, but I did not care. Surprisingly, though, there was nobody else on the path that day, and I didn't bump into anyone in this entire experience, as if the world was saying, "This is just for you." I had been seeking some sort of answers to life through my devoted meditation practices for months, and if I were to discover anything, it would be in this indescribable new state of consciousness that had spontaneously risen in me, where the world had seemed to expose its naked soul. This was beyond thought, beyond questioning. The intellectual mind had given up with tempting me for attention, and the logical part of me seemed to have entirely shut down. I carried on walking, absorbing this newfound state, and eventually found a bench in a small park. I sat and observed the tree leaves moving in the wind and watched all the squirrels and birds around me in nothing short of pure ecstatic joy. I don't know how long I sat on that park bench, but time did not seem to have an influence in this state. All I know is many hours passed until I got up. My consciousness had moved to a dimension beyond time and space, which only existed in uninterrupted bliss, with the clear realization that the illusion of separateness was just a fallacy in our usual perception. I felt rather than saw things, and whatever I looked at, I felt an inner knowing that resonated throughout my entire being. In this way, I could appreciate everything from a bird to a tree, or even a single blade of grass, complemented with an underlying knowing that the consciousness I usually experience is no different from the awareness that is rooted in any other life form's essence. In ultimate reality, everything is one. Such is a spontaneous awakening of consciousness that can happen by grace when we make efforts to meditate and gives us glimpses of higher types of awareness. This type of awakening can spontaneously occur not just in the physical plane, but also in the astral plane. Since this happened, the feeling passed somewhat, but it never entirely disappeared, and it has always been there in the background, or it surfaces again when I'm in meditation or go for long walks in nature. This spontaneous and personal event of awakening has always been a profound frame of reference when I felt a little imbalanced or needed answers. Our language does not have enough words to describe such an experience. What I felt in those moments was a powerful expansion of love. Love being the blissful emotion of the body that naturally arises when the mind surrenders to reality, rather than trying to constantly conjure up its own dream realities instead. When you reach such a state in meditation, you realize that love is your natural state and not something that needs to be found. It is only really found when you let go and allow yourself to stop adding your own narrative to life, to what is. This is why love can come in many forms in life, because different things have the ability to make our minds still enough so that we can perceive closer to that truer reality of oneness, whether it be a loving partner, pets, children, beautiful scenery in nature, a hobby, etc. Such things can help us reach that inner tranquility in life, but it's also important to note that we need not rely on external things or people for such states. We can connect to those states through meditation and our relationship with ourselves. Through tapping into that source of love within, we unleash a divine source of energy to live by, which benefits all living beings, rather than relying on other people for our peace of mind, which ultimately leads to suffering and attachment to physical forms. Remember, our goal towards astral projection involves not clinging to physical reality and the objects in it, whether it be material possessions, loved ones, or anything else. This is not to say we should remove such things from our life, but it means that those external things have no power to create any more drama or suffering in our lives anymore, because we generate our own source of power from within. When the mind stops searching, when it stops wanting refuge, when it no longer goes in search of security, when it no longer craves more books and information, when it ignores even the memory of desire, only then will love arrive within. Samael Aun Weor. As my meditation grew and continued in my life, my out-of-body experiences started to become more profound as well. This next experience was the first time I realized that people truly did live in the astral plane in the afterlife.